Hello, and welcome to Quarterly Book Club Romance. I'm joined today by Ali from Hardback Hoarder, Chloe from Brunette Bibliophile. I'll also give everybody an opportunity to talk a little bit more about where you can find them and stuff like that. But today we're going to be talking about I Am in Love with Mothman by Paige Lavoie. And we'll kind of just go over initial thoughts first, and then we'll jump into spoilers and some deeper conversation. So, Ali, you want to go ahead and provide maybe a deeper introduction and also tell us what your initial thoughts were?
Sure. I am Hardback Hoarder on YouTube. I haven't posted in a hot minute. No one look at me. Making YouTube content is really hard these days. Especially after doing it for I think this is my 9th year on
Wow.
YouTube. So yeah. But I am on Twitch. I do gaming stuff on Twitch. And I'm live there 3 times a week under the name With Malice. So that's where a lot of my content. I was working on actually the next reading spreadsheet today, live on stream, which is great because then I get immediate feedback from people. I love Mothman. I would love Mothman to be my boyfriend. I don't know if I would love Mothman to be my boyfriend in the sense that this book made Mothman the boyfriend. I thought it was okay. I also listened to the audiobook though, and the audiobook was something. The voice acting was truly interesting. I swear there was a filter for the male voices and it was so bad. But for the story was cute. It was very quick paced as well, which I feel like was good. A very quick read.
Would you give it a star rating?
I would probably give it a 3.
How about you, Chloe?
So my name is Chloe. I run the YouTube channel Brunette Bibliophile, and you can find me at Brunette Bibliophile or Brunette Biblio on most social medias. I did have the audiobook ready in case I needed to pull it out, but I ended up reading it pretty quickly. I give it a 4, which for me that's good. I enjoyed it. But I definitely can understand where a lot of other people may think it's just okay. I didn't really know what I was going into with this one, because I mean we've had it for 6 months just waiting to pick it up for this, and I've been looking forward to it. But overall, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I didn't resort to the audiobook because I think I listened to the first minute of it and I was like, I'm not sure if this is gonna work. And it was a little better just to come up with voices in my head. I don't know if this is I don't think this is a spoiler. I don't think that it's a bad book or it necessarily has bad writing, but I'm trying to equate some of the cringiness to the aspects of the main character being 22 and also being an influencer as her everyday. So I'm trying to just equate anything cringy to that as opposed to just bad writing, because I don't necessarily think it was bad writing.
Hi, so my name is Desirai. You are on my channel, LibriLabra, and you can find me at LibriLabra on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Where else am I? Oh, those are the important places. And man, so I think the audiobook kind of ruined things for me a little bit. And so if I were to base it on the audiobook, I'd probably give it 2 stars and just say it was okay. But knowing that, I'm going to give it 3 stars. I think if I had just specifically just read it with my eyes, that would have changed things. Because yeah, the filter on the male voices, especially Mothman. I also am thinking maybe monster romance is not for me, because every time.
I don't think the monster loving girls would say that this was a monster loving book. To be fair.
Because every time she was like, he kissed me with his beak. And I just couldn't. But do I see how it was cozy? Yes. Do I see how it was fun? Yes. did I love it as a romance? Not really.
But that was it for me. The part where she puts it in her mouth. I was like, you had me. I was there with you for a minute. But then you put it in your mouth. Now I'm not here.
At some point, I was listening to it in my car with my husband there, and I just remember, I think he listens more closely than I do sometimes. And he was just like, wait, a beak has lips?
It doesn't. It sure doesn't. It doesn't matter.
But apparently, so I don't know if she was like going back and forth between saying his beak, his lips, or like, I don't know what happened, but he was very confused. And I was like, okay.
I feel like John has like the best reactions to the romance book.
And he always walks in at like the awkwardest parts when I'm listening to like...
What are you listening to? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think I'm sitting at a 3. I do also want to mention that we've met the author, and she's like super sweet.
Mm-hmm.
She's dresses awesome. She has her own like Instagram account where she like was dressing as like a pinup girl. So she has like lots of 1950s-ish clothing and stuff.
Tell she has style in the writing.
Yeah.
Like it was written well. And the character definitely has style, and like the influencer life, I feel like was written out pretty well as someone who's an influencer.
Right.
So you could tell that she had style and that she like knew what she was talking about. I do think the influencer job was an interesting way to go for like a cabin in the woods romance. So I don't know, it just felt odd to me that was the choice that we went with.
So yeah, we're definitely going to jump into like spoilerish territory now. So if you haven't read this and you want to, then definitely check it out and come back. But as I was reading it, knowing that she kind of had that influencer experience and stuff, I was wondering how much of her specifically was in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one thing that struck me is that when I met her at some point, I was like, hey, can I get a picture with you? And she was there with her kid. And so she kind of panicked a little bit, and she was like, oh, I don't want my kid in pictures. Can you wait a second till my husband comes back? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then so she, eventually handed her child off so that she could be in the picture, but she was very protective. And there was mention of that in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me curious if that was just a personal choice or something she feels very strongly about, or if the rest of it kind of is personal to her too, where like her mom had put too much of her and she didn't get that choice. So I was like really curious about that aspect of it, but I liked that part of it. I always like weird parts. And
no, I feel like that part could have been explored more in a way, because I felt like I didn't get the sense that she disliked being an influencer necessarily at the beginning, other than the fact that like she was kind of over the hate comments. So when she was like, I'm mad at my mom for making me an influencer, I was like, oh, this feels like it's come kind of out of nowhere, but also like it makes sense. And I wish it would have been explored more up to that point.
Yeah, I think it kind of reached a point like, she has all this burnout. She wants to start completely fresh in the cabin. And when her mom came and was like trying to do, what is essentially her job of being an influencer,
Mm-hmm.
I think she was just so fed up with it. She was like, this is just for me. I don't want anything about being an influencer or social media or anywhere in this vicinity, essentially. I think she was just done.
Yeah. I think I would have liked to explore more part of that, other than like, and now there is a Birdman on my couch. And oh no, I must hide my bird boyfriend.
Oh my God. And this just goes to show you how I miss details when listening to the audiobook. But who is Chris?
He's like one of the main characters.
I know. And I know he was like the hunter, and I know what his like role was, but who was he? Was he like her ex-boyfriend? Or
in relation to this, he was the brother of the the chick who ran the shop, like the general store.
Okay, because like sometimes it felt like he was giving brotherly vibes, and then sometimes it seemed like he was giving like ex-boyfriend vibes. So I was like,
He gave brotherly vibes in the beginning, but he was romantically interested.
Mhm.
So then he turns kind of weird, and then he turns into like a
Spiral.
total weirdo after that. Yeah, just quickly rolls out of control there. The kidnapping part really, I was like, what is going on? We've just
It's like the whole book took like a 360, like 180 kind of vibe. Like it was like, okay, first we're being cozy, now there's kidnapping.
Yeah. And not in a kinky way. It's really bad. Like, oh no, oh crap. Yeah.
I know we've said that like the pacing was kind of quick. Did you like that, or do you feel like it should have been stretched out longer? Because it's a fairly short book. Like, how many pages is it? It's like 261
for the content
pages.
that it is, I like that it's quick paced. I don't mind. Like, I probably prefer romance books to be quick paced, especially when they are of a more paranormal type. But I do think that the author dropped enough interesting things about the character that there are parts that I would have liked to have seen more of. And seen more of a development in, because I feel like we just got the surface level of the character, and she had a lot more going on that I think I would have been interested in.
I agree. I think the it being very fast paced was helpful for what it was. But actually, one note that I had was I kind of wish the resolution had been stretched out just a little bit longer, because I'm not completely sold on that. So like, is she part cryptid now? Like, I'm very confused on this.
I don't know. I ended up losing myself trying to figure out like all the anatomy details. I know I was texting Chloe and I was like I was like, wait, does it have feathers? Is it furry? Like, what?
Yes. When she said the feathers were like tattoos, I was like, that's not how tattoos work. They are not textured, actually. No, I had a hard time with that too. And then when it also, with the resolution, it was also confusing to me how quickly she accepted it. Like, immediate was like, I'm fine, this is great, I'm amazing, look at this, I also am covered in feathers now. And I was just like, you're taking that way better than I would.
And also with like how I'm not even sure if it was like in detail or not, probably not, but like how she's like, my mom accepted all of this, and I'm like, what?
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does say that she doesn't tell her about, because she can still turn human, but
Well, what
he
about
can't. And his name is Moth. They couldn't come
know
up with
about
like,
I know, right?
Dustin, Travis, literally anything.
That's what John said. He was like, his name is Moth. And I was like, well, she asked him what his name was, and he said it didn't matter. So she just started calling him Moth.
Yeah. And yeah. So I don't know. I don't think her mom like fully knows yet. But I see that there will be a sequel, which I'm assuming will take place in a more magical world, which I think will be more on par with the fact that like he has a beak and antenna that never disappear, and like that's fine. In the human world, I don't know if I could kiss someone with a beak and antennas.
And red eyes.
And red eye. Well, that is the other thing. Whenever she said they dressed up to go to the diner, I was trying to picture this feathered, hunched, extremely tall creature with like a hat barely sticking onto the head because the antennas would be in the way. And I was having a very hard time picturing that.
But like at some point, was he able to kind of have human aspects to, because she would like describe his chest, and she was saying that like the blanket was, covering his waist down. Like it sounded like there were parts of him that were human, and then sometimes it wouldn't be. So I wasn't sure like what was going on there.
That's what I got from it, but also I'm not really sure because it's still kind of like a hard thing to picture.
Yeah, from what I could understand, he had a man form, but he still had the wings. He could never remove the wings,
right?
or the antennae, and antennae, whatever. And he would be still covered in feathers to some degree. Is he like? So I don't really. Was
Like, is he
just
like
a man
velvety?
covered in? Yeah,
Like,
I don't know. It is interesting because she said he's. I'm pretty sure she says feathers. And moths do not have feathers. Yeah. They are velvety.
Right?
Yeah. And when you touch them, it goes away. So, like, that first time having sex, it's all gone.
Oh my god, I'm trying to like just look at the cover because like he definitely looks feathery.
Yeah.
On the cover, even his antenna look feathery. Like they just look like feathers.
Yeah, they are. I guess technically, I think moths are technically it's like hair, in a way, almost. So I guess he would just be like really hairy.
What did you feel? How did you feel about the pacing of them falling in love?
I know going into a quick paced romance, it's going to be 3 days. Like 3 days and we're done for. The amount of which she was willing to like risk it all though, really, for essentially what looks like a moth. If you're human, I get it. Lust can make you do a lot of things. But there could have probably been a little bit more. Like, even if it was just like I had to take care of him for like this amount of time, and over that time, like we slowly got to know each other.
Yeah, because it's not like they were having these deep conversations or anything.
She very quickly accepted everything, and it was no.
Especially considering how terrified she was upon first meeting him. And then she finds him again and is like, well, he didn't kill me. He didn't succeed in killing me. So therefore, he must be good.
And then to bring him home and inside and like, it was too much.
I would probably do the same if I came across like a
wounded
raccoon.
Yeah, sure. But would you want to bang it after?
No, can't say I would.
Oh my god. I didn't think this had discussion questions, but it does. So hold on a second. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so the first one says, what could Heather have done differently to prevent her internet burnout at the start of the book? Because that was like part of the whole reason she went to the cabin, was that she was experiencing burnout. So
when someone knows the answer, let me know. Great. I also tried the cabin in the woods resort thing. It only helps for a very short period.
Like while you're there?
Yeah, basically. And then you come back and you're like, oh, back to it, I guess.
You have any suggestions for her, Chloe?
I mean,
what she could have done differently?
I just keep thinking about how do you remember at BookNet Fest we went to that panel about hobby burnout that the author was on, and they were talking about this, and I'm like, just take a break, guys. Just take a break. I mean, like, I guess I do things differently from other people where I do like my bulk filming and stuff. So I go weeks without filming, but it's like, just take a break. It's like, if you don't want to do it, just don't do it.
Also, don't do things that you don't want to do. Like, if it's not content that you like, people can tell. They'll let you know they can tell, too.
Right. I mean, I imagine like, the second question is, living in the digital age, have you ever felt similarly overwhelmed by life online? And the answer is like, yes. And I'm not even like popular online or anything, but like the constant looking at other people's stuff, commenting on other people's stuff, like it's all time consuming and draining. And so even though I haven't done it in a long time, like sometimes I just want to unplug all of it and just kind of like disappear off the internet for like an extended amount of time. Chloe, you've also been going on YouTube for a long time.
I mean, I think like not necessarily YouTube, because sometimes I just like anything I want to see just goes on my watch later and eventually I get to it. But like with like Twitter, and not so much Instagram anymore, but mostly Twitter, stuff is just so like heavy. I'm like, can't I just go to social media for something lighthearted? It's more of like I mean, the world is shit, but it kind of just it keeps reminding me of it on social media, and that's where I don't want to look at it or go to it. I just need to like step away from it.
I've definitely just like keeping up with the trends, seeing what's new, making sure that you're still interacting with not only your viewers but also other creators. It's a lot. And especially if this is like your secondary job or a hobby even, it's just too much sometimes to keep up with. And then when you do get those negative comments, it's just like the icing on the cake. That's like, oh god, well, yeah, they've just confirmed it. This is all, this is all for nothing, and I'm a nobody. And yeah.
Especially because like YouTube is kind of like a dying social media, like especially in the book community. I feel like everybody's going to like TikTok and whatnot. So it's like, to have been doing it for so long, it's very hard to just like I can't find a place to stop necessarily, because it's been a part of my life for so long.
I think BookTube is hard right now because it hasn't had like a new take in a while. Like, we've gone through a lot of the trends, and the short form content is obviously great, and I have seen a lot of people are really just going to like a vlogging format most of the time. So it's kind of hard to, when we see these new forms popping up and they get more recognition than BookTube ever did. And it's kind of just like, why am I bothering to keep doing something that, isn't gonna be seen? But then of course then you have people that are like, I look forward to this every week, or whatever you post. And then it's like, those moments make it, but it's like all that other stuff on top of it is just a lot.
So Starzy says, it's been an interesting background conversation while I'm marking. I don't know if there was like more to that.
Teacher.
Okay.
So,
the grading.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool.
Hi, Starzy.
So Heather often refers to being at home with Moth. What is it about their dynamic that you believe gives her that feeling? I really don't know what's going on in Heather's head.
I don't either, because this was the part where I thought it was weird that she was like the social media influencer. So much of her life revolves around technology. Obviously, Moth. Mark would have been better. My God, it's so close. Obviously, Moth creates this kind of like area outside of that for her. This is the person who like doesn't know anything, doesn't know her from all this, doesn't know her online, doesn't immediately, because she mentions like when she goes on dates, they would go and just look up everything about her afterwards. Moth doesn't have any of that, but it also makes me wonder how they would connect in the long run. Because yes, that might be really great right now, because like clearly you're looking for no tech, no internet connection, nothing. But like, how would that work when your whole life revolves around that in the long run? Which is why, to me, it seemed like an interesting choice.
What do you think, Chloe?
Well, hold on, I'm still thinking about my answer here.
I have actually not read the synopsis for the second book.
I didn't, but it just based on how the epilogue went, it just sounded like they will be going into the Moth world.
Yeah, I read it after I finished it because I pre-ordered the next book, and it's definitely in the moth world. Through what was it, a portal at the end?
Portal in a tree. You know, I'm more intrigued about the moth world because, like, at least then it all makes sense. Are they all named Moth though? Moth 1, Moth 2?
Is she gonna get to meet his parents?
He had like repressed memories or something like that. So maybe we're gonna learn so much more about his background and how he's like really like royalty or something.
Yeah. Which I'd be more intrigued
Moth royalty.
in. Yeah.
How would the book have played out differently in a different time period or setting? I mean, I think you're already mixing like two. I don't think, does it matter?
Like, I mean, she would have been burned at the stake. You're hoarding a monster burger. It's all gone.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like this is the only time period where this would work. Because so many people are like, yeah, paranormal, absolutely. I'd have sex with anything paranormal. Any other time, it'd be like, you even mention it and you're either being institutionalized or you're being burned at the stake.
I mean, Chris was very much like, I'm trying to help you. You're not right now.
Yeah. I'm going to kidnap you and that will make it all better. And I'm going to shoot you.
Oh my god, this other question. Hold on.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay, but before we get to that one, how familiar with Mothman were you before reading this book? And I've already mentioned that, like, not at all. Not at all. I don't know what the lore is. I don't know where he comes from. I don't know, like, and like there has to be some information about him, but I don't know any of it.
Do you remember when we were getting our book signed and you were in front of me and she just goes, "So do you have a deep interest in loving the cryptids?"
No.
Well, lucky for you all, I do know about Mothman, and I actually am like friends with people who are considered experts.
Experts? Okay.
Yes. And whenever she does mention that there is a statue of Mothman in Pleasant Point, that is true. There is a big metal statue of Mothman in the middle of Pleasant Point, West Virginia, or Pleasant View, West Virginia, and he has a big shiny metal butt. And you can go and rub Mothman's butt in the middle of town.
But why? Why is
I
that?
was not expecting you to say that.
I need you all to Google it.
Yes,
right now.
Okay.
Mothman's shiny metal ass.
Oh
immediately.
Mothman.
Mothman started, I can't remember the timeline, but basically it's a West Virginia tale.
Oh, okay.
Where Mothman starts from. And
oh my.
Uh-huh. Yep, if you there's your visual for the shiny metal butt.
Wow.
A great thought into this possibly. I would love to go rub Mothman's shiny butt, honestly. And the town embraces Mothman like so much.
Yeah, no, they're grabbing his butt and taking pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, this girl's licking it. Oh my.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. Yes, but the lore around it is that there was two young couples out one night and they swore they saw this big birded figure. And they were scared of it, but it was a white figure. So there's some conflicting information here. And they tried to get away from it and it chased them screeching. And then it was accounted that a few other people would see big red eyes with flashlights when they would be out and about. And what they believe had actually happened was that there are these big cranes who had accidentally migrated to the area and they weren't like native to the area, and so the people there were like, what the hell are these big birds? Basically, that's like what really happened. But not long after Mothman sightings, there was a bridge that collapsed and killed, I think, upwards of 50 people, and they blamed it on Mothman. And then there was also, like, another thing. They said that there was sightings in I think, Russia before another catastrophic event happened, so now Mothman has been, like, they're like, "He shows up before destruction," type thing.
Now, there's like a movie called The Mothman Prophecies, right? I think
Mhm,
with
yeah.
Richard Gere. Okay,
Mhm.
and that's related to this, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I watched it like forever and ever and ever ago. Remember absolutely nothing about it, but like,
Yes, and Mothman got his name because the Batman comics were very popular, and there was a villain, I believe, called like the Man Moth or something like that, or Moth Killer or something like that. So they took that name, and the newspapers ran with Mothman at the time.
look at Allie bringing all the facts.
I know my cryptids. I have not seen Mothman, but I know some things.
Chloe, did you see the picture of the statue?
Yes, because I was dying, and then when you said, "Oh no, she's licking her hair," like that.
Oh my god. Okay, so the next question was, would you kiss Mothman in this non-human form? In his
No.
non-human form? Did you find his looks cute or creepy?
No, just no.
Neither. Yeah, like I just
Disturbing.
like I don't think we should mix. Like
No. It was if he had lips. I could get past
maybe
the antenna, maybe. The velvety hair feather things, who knows what they are still. I could maybe get past those. But the moment she put the beak in her mouth, I was done. I just
But even the
can't.
claws, like she was so turned on by those claws.
Yeah. I mean, I normally have claws, so like I get it. I was picturing like the really like long, like
like
bent
talons.
claws.
Yeah.
And that was like, I'm like picturing him like wrapped around like a coffee mug when they were in the coffee thing, and the guy Chris was like, "What do you do with those nails?" And I was just picturing, he's like, I forget, I can do whatever, something like that. And she was immediately thinking dirty, and I'm like, oh my god, your uterus is gonna be like ripped to shreds. Like, that's what we're talking about here right now. I know, actually, no thanks.
Do you think she's gonna like continue to write? Like, so the next one is like, I'm engaged to Mothman. Is the next one gonna be like, I'm having Mothman's baby?
Listen,
Probably.
that was exactly what John said to me at the end of this book. He said, they better not have babies. Please don't tell me that they're gonna have babies.
I wonder if we're gonna find out like relatively soon though, because the next one comes out in like a week, I think.
Oh wow.
Well, it's interesting because like, how did she become a moth? She was in a cocoon, but like,
so that's what I was confused about. I think he was trying to save her, and the way he knows how to like heal, or maybe himself heals, is like through a cocoon or something. I don't really understand. And
so could anyone just enter a cocoon, this like Mothman's cocoon, and emerge in a moth?
I guess I thought he was just healing her, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm part cryptid now," and I'm like, "Excuse me?"
Yes. Yeah, I was also. And does she have a beak? And like, do they just smash beaks against each other? Like, that part was very confusing to me. I knew from page like 3 that she was probably going to become like a moth to some form, because that's just how these fantasy things seem to play out. But I wasn't expecting it like that.
Do birds have teeth though?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because like she was saying that he had a beak and fangs, and I was like, just trying to imagine.
They don't tend to have fangs. It's also like he's not a vampire, and also moths aren't known to like need fangs. So why he had fangs?
I mean, why? Right, exactly. I mean, moths don't have beaks either, right?
I think the terminology, baby. I don't know. Now I'm like, because wouldn't they have those
Because
like
aren't
rolled
moths
up
just like
suction things?
they're like butterflies, right?
Yeah, I would have thought they'd have those things that like roll out, like their tongue like thing rolls out, which I would have been behind more than a bee. Then at least like maybe you can do some creative things with that.
Oh my god.
Now I need to do moths have beaks. Okay, yes. So oh no, this doesn't, it just says they don't have a bird's beak, but they roll their mouths part in and out of the nectar. Well, that doesn't tell me that it's a beak.
Is it called a beak? And I think that's what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is it like, I'm wondering if that's what like the terminology for it is called. No, yeah, this just says, this just seems to be like the weird tongue thingy.
Oh man. Did you notice the parallels to Beauty and the Beast in this story?
No.
I don't think I did either, to be honest. I felt like, I know he was like a little bit of a jerk in the beginning. He was like not sure if he was going to trust her, or, you know.
He was the nicest jerk I've ever read about in a book.
So, Chloe, you read a lot of retellings. Were you getting Beauty and the Beast vibes?
No.
No. Does that mean Chris is Gaston?
I think so.
I could see that. Like, that's the only part that makes sense. She's like the new girl in town type thing, and he's like, I'm the big hunter and I'm gonna whisk you away. But like, other than that, no.
Speaking of Chris, do you feel like he deserves a redemption arc?
No.
No.
Not even a little bit. No, Chris.
You know, for a while there, I was like, he's clearly just a guy with a passion for not great things. But then once he kidnapped her, I was like, we're done. We're jail time. Jail time.
What?
Also, like, what happened after that? They don't even talk about, like, what happened to him. She's still hanging out with the famous goat ladies. So, like, I don't understand what happened. What were the consequences from those actions? He wasn't like, oh my god, I shot you. What happened? You're suddenly okay. No bullet or anything.
You know what? Speaking of like hunting, one, fear makes you do a lot of stupid things, right? We see that every day with the way people react to other people and things, unfortunately. But the toxic masculinity in like, I have to kill this thing. I have to dominate this thing. I have to like, can you just let it be happy? Let it like, I don't know. I am so like, not okay with hunting of animals or anything like that. And it's just men be doing things sometimes.
Especially when he was the only one who seemed to think it was a threat. Like, literally everyone else was like, leave it be. And he was like, no, I must go do this thing.
So this is a super weird question. It says, if you had a pair of moth wings.
No. No.
I second that.
If you had a pair of moth wings, what color would they be?
Black. It's my favorite color. What again? I would be Mothman, actually.
It's like, a moth is not like a butterfly. Like, are there a ton of variations?
I mean,
Yes,
there are
there
actually.
are.
Yeah, some of them look very butterfly-like.
I collect dead moths. This sounds so weird.
This is the best. This is like I feel like I picked the perfect person to join us on this discussion.
Yes, I collect dead moths, and there are a lot of color variations. If anyone's played Animal Crossing, also a lot of color variations. But they're like one of my favorite ones is it's all black on top, but underneath the insides are red, and you actually have to turn it over to see. It's like a bright, vibrant red underneath. There's some that are like blue and they like shimmer in like the sun and whatnot. Allie, maybe. Maybe. But yeah, there's some that have like the eye feature, you know, that makes them look like a predator from afar. So yeah, there's a ton of different color variations, but their wings are more delicate, I would think.
And so the final question is, if you could talk to the author, what burning question would you want to ask?
Why the beak?
Yeah, I don't like
I could get down with everything else. Literally everything. Like I could get past the half moth thing. That would be fine. I would probably be like, you know, I would have loved to seen more of like that character development about, you know, clearly she has an issue with being raised on social media, but she also likes it. Like I would have liked to see more of that. But why the beak?
See, I was concerned, like when I started this, I was like, how is like something like that looks like this gonna work? And then there was all the the like shape shifting and whatever. But I agree with the beak thing, because like the beak and the lips,
Yeah.
can't get past it.
Yeah. I figured he would be a shapeshifter. Like,
see, that would kind of like make sense.
yeah. But I could even see him, I guess, keeping the wings to some degree, but because, you know, winged men, all the rage right now. I get it, you know, but
Can we shapeshift far enough for there not to be a beak?
Yeah, that was, well, it seemed like it was a choice. Like she was like, keep it. And like when they're having sex on the roof, by the way, the worst possible place to have sex. First of all, have you ever touched a shingle? It's sandpaper. You will have no hair on your ass left, I can tell you that. But also, where are you laying where you are not
rolling off the roof?
Yeah, is it a flat roof? Like But yeah, when it seemed like whenever they were in that scene, she was basically like stay in this form. I like want the moth form, and that's when the beak was really present. So it was like a choice to keep it.
I think my question for her would be, did your husband read this? And what did he think?
Does he dress up as Mothman?
There is high probability that we'll see her at either BookNet Fest or the Orlando Book Fest, like in like the next 6 months.
I'll have to ask her, because I know, like I think Colleen Hoover said at one point that like her husband tried to read one of her books, but asked her so many questions, like, "Wait, is this what you want? Is this what you like? Is this what?" And then he never read anything else that she wrote after that. So I'm wondering if it's like something like that, where like her husband's like, "No, I'm good."
I think I need like a drawing of how she pictures him in this moth form to fully grasp what is happening. Like the cover, I feel like that's a traditional Mothman picture. But like, what does he look like in this alternate form for me to fully sell what's happening?
Because she was describing his I don't know, maybe it was just me. Maybe I was like trying to make him look human to make it make sense to myself, so I could be like, where's the attraction? He has a muscular human chest, okay. But then she was talking about his exoskeleton all the time.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not thinking too hard about that. That's a choice word to use for a sexy thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there was one line where she was like, his exoskeleton, something, something, something. And I was like, wait, what did she just say? And John was like, penis? And I was like, no, hold on. And I had to go looking through the book to be like, no, it says pants.
Yeah.
His
You see his
exoskeleton.
skeleton through his pants. He was wearing her yoga pants.
Oh my
That's
God.
what it was. On top of that. Her yoga pants, sharp talons. And that's when she was like, he's from LA, clearly. The man is clearly not a man.
I will say I read her young adult book earlier in the month, and I definitely think I like this one more than that one. Just because that one was a Hades and Persephone retelling, but it felt like much more, I don't want to say juvenile, but like it's a young adult, so it's supposed to be younger, but it just felt like too young, in my opinion.
I don't think the love interest is like mean enough for being what he is supposed to be. Was Hades, the Hades character in that, mean?
No, it was like I can see why it was kind of a Hades and Persephone retelling. But ultimately what it boiled down to was the Hades character. They're both in high school, and his family owns a funeral home, and he is just like sick of high school because he gets bullied a lot. And this is her like first time in public school because she had like a very sheltered life, and she was homeschooled, and her mom is like lies about all these different things about her and is very controlling, and she wants to leave that situation, and they end up running away together, which was not what I expected at all. And then the ending, when kind of like the ending is kind of sped up to be like seeing all these different things that happen like within a span of like a year or two after that.
Do you think it felt really juvenile because you've read some very adult-ish Hades and Persephone retelling?
Okay, I see where you're coming from with that, but no, because it just felt like I felt like these characters were so young, and it was just like they were doing, I don't want to say anything without spoiling it, but they were doing various things where I was just like, do you think that's a good choice? Like,
Okay.
like, I don't think you're old enough for this or whatever, even though they were supposed to be like 17, 18, maybe 19. I doubt 19.
I think the appeal of doing a Hades or Persephone's or a Beauty and the Beast or a Mothman cryptid monster romance type thing is that they are essentially supposed to be a villain. And when you take the villainous aspect away, like immediately, it loses a lot of the appeal. So when you meet Mothman, and yeah, at first he seems like the scariest monster, but then immediately he becomes unscary and he treats her great. Like maybe, yeah, he's a little standoffish, but like you've lost that appeal of that, what would typically be
The
that
mystery,
audience.
at least.
Yeah. Because I think part of that is like enemies to lovers. And the moment you take that enemy aspect away, it's kind of just like, oh, so it's just like a boring guy that you're dating now. Because you've taken away the most interesting parts of his identity for the intended audience.
Do you guys have anything else to add, or do you want to go into closing thoughts, final thoughts on this one?
I think it's cute. It's a very quick read. I wouldn't not recommend it necessarily. But I wouldn't recommend it to someone looking for an enemies to lovers type thing, which is I feel like what most people go into thinking about Mothman. So I think I would just warn people. It's a cozy romance. Don't think too hard about it. Okay, never mind.
I agree. I really like the cozy vibes. I like the autumn vibes. The romance was fine. But I agree. Don't think too deeply about it. If you just need something, not necessarily a palate cleanser, but if you just want something that's like cutesy and has like those cozy fall vibes that you're looking for, you can go with this. But I mean, overall, I think it was good. I enjoyed it. 4 stars, and I will read the sequel.
It's a little mindless.
A little, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was cozy. It totally did not work for me as a romance at all. So like if you don't think of that aspect of it, if you're like, hey, she's in the cabin, she's trying to deal with her burnout, she's an influencer, and you know, fun stuff happens. Sure.
Just think of like a goth man who sometimes has wings instead.
Right. So I agree with the like, don't think too hard about it because it's just not gonna. It's not gonna work. But
I would read more from this author because the writing was good, and I did like the aspects of the character's life.
So I give it a 3. I have the Hades and Persephone book, so I'm probably gonna read that. I don't know if I'll read the second one in this. I'll probably wait till Chloe reads it and then tells me, hey, you have to read it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it.
She was promoting like e-arcs of it, so I was able to get one, and I have to read it before the end of the month, so maybe I'll read it while we're at Y'all Fest or something.
Does she have anything else that she's written, or is it mainly?
She just like another book just came out called Dear Galaxy.
Wait. Yeah, I've seen that.
I want to say it's a young adult, but I'm not 100% sure on that. The cover is gorgeous though, and I think I have it saved on Scribd, so I'm probably eventually going to read it.
Scribd that is no longer Scribd.
Yeah, what's it called
exactly?
Everate,
like
or something like that.
Everant.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Which I mean, it's fine by me as long as it stays cheap and I can keep using it.
Yeah, just kind of threw me for a loop when I went to open it, and it was like, this doesn't exist anymore, and I was like, what?
Yeah, they split it up. I'm kind of glad though, because I used to get tired of like seeing all those documents that had been like uploaded and stuff, and they were just always kind of in the way. I might take some time to listen to a few minutes of the Galaxy audiobook to see if it's any different than this one. I wonder if like the second audiobook will be like the same narrator with the same kind of like or if they'll be like, well, let's upgrade this a little bit. That was definitely a choice to use. I don't think I've ever experienced that where
it's a filter.
Yeah.
It's very clearly a voice filter.
Yeah.
It's supposed to sound like Corpse Husband, but does not sound like Corpse Husband at all.
No, it just reminded me of like the old days on Xbox Live when they had the voice filters.
Yeah, it wasn't a good one. No. Who did the narration?
Oh, that's a good question.
It wasn't the author, was it?
I don't think so. Let's see.
Because I know like hiring voice actors could
be expensive,
pricey, but I would much rather hear just someone using a slightly deeper tone of their voice than a voice filter.
Jessica Villalobos. That name sounds familiar, so I think I may have listened to like. Oh, wait, no, it says related audiobooks, but that's not the same thing.
Oh,
I'm curious what else she may have done because that sounds kind of familiar. That name. So, all right, so that's how we felt about "I'm in Love with Mothman" by Paige Lavoie.
There are other Mothman romances out there, so I feel like now I need to do a deep dive and find it true.
I just saw another one on Everand. Hold on. I don't know if it's a romance, but it does say "Dear Mothman."
I've read some horror with Mothman, which has been decent.
This says it's children's legends, myth, and fables, so probably not a romance.
No, probably not. So I'd be slightly concerned.
So for our next quarter, the first quarter of 2024, we are going to be reading The Deal by Elle Kennedy, And Chloe, would you say the tentative date was for that?
We are
February.
tentatively looking at February 4th.
And this is a hockey romance. So that should be interesting. I haven't read any hockey romance before.
We're hitting our hockey romance era a little late.
Gosh, that was so like 2021.
But I read like briefly, I think I gifted you one of her books. Was it called like The Good Girl or something like that? Am I making that up?
Good Girl Complex.
Yeah, I think I read the first chapter of that and I liked her writing. So it was kind of like snarky and funny. So I'm hoping the deal is as well. But are you excited for it, Chloe?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of hype between this book as well as the Good Girl Complex. I'm interested to see if I like the writing style and the author's work.
And this is published by Bloom. I feel like I've been picking up a lot of Bloom books lately.
I think Bloom picks up a lot of the like indie or self-published ones that get.
Is that where like Sierra Simone is too? I think so.
Possibly. I know Scarlet St. Clair goes through Bloom. Anna Huang, I think, is through Bloom. If it's not Berkeley, it's Bloom, I feel like.
All right, so I want to say thank you to our special guest, Allie, for joining us and being so like well-versed in Mothman.
When you messaged me and were like, do you want to read this book? I was like, yes. I do, actually.
Oh my
God. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for the 3 people that have been chilling in the chat, and definitely Starzy Rose for her commentary. I hope we've provided some entertainment for you today. So everybody have a good week. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully you come back next quarter to find out what we have to say about The Deal by Elle Kennedy. All right, take it easy, everyone. Bye.